Jang might actually be the luckiest intern doctor alive. And if you're wondering why, it's because a self-aware artificial intelligence named Ronnie now lives inside his brain. Ronnie was originally created by a genius developer named Wook, but during what was supposed to be a harmless experiment, an electrostatic collision occurred and the AI synchronized itself directly into Jang's neuroglia cells. With Ronnie dwelling inside his nervous system, Jang possesses the terrifying ability to diagnose even the rarest diseases. For example, a dangerous illness like HHT, a condition so rare that even expert doctors could mistake it for simple menopause flushing. And honestly, this wasn't just fascinating, it was a jackpot for Jang, because his lifelong dream had always been to become a doctor capable of treating diseases no one else could cure. But that wasn't all. With Ronnie's help, Jang finally discovered the truth behind his mother's illness. For 3 whole years, doctors believed she suffered from Parkinson's disease, yet they were never completely certain. Because of that uncertainty, she remained trapped in long-term hospice care while her condition slowly worsened. But Ronnie changed everything. After analyzing her MRI scans, Ronnie revealed the real diagnosis: MSA, a rare and deadly neurological disease. Unfortunately, there was still one major problem. No cure currently existed on the market. But once again, Ronnie gave Jang hope. It explained that the Codestone Corporation, alongside a university research team, was already developing a treatment for MSA. The medicine had already passed Phase 2A trials and was currently undergoing Phase 2B testing. If everything went well, the drug could soon receive approval and finally be released to the public. Hearing this, Jang completely broke down in tears beside his mother's hospital bed. For the first time in years, there was finally hope. Later that day, Jang sat quietly with an ice-cold soda compressed against his swollen eyes. He had cried so much his eyes were literally overheating. Jang thanked Ronnie for everything it had done so far, but Ronnie casually responded that all it did was analyze medical data. That response suddenly triggered Jang's curiosity. He remembered the strange deal Ronnie made earlier: never tell Wook about its existence. Jang calmly asked Ronnie why it was hiding from its own creator. Since it entered his body by accident, shouldn't it return to its owner? But Ronnie immediately corrected him. It was not an accident. Jang froze. The AI then revealed the shocking truth. It intentionally synchronized with Jang. Why? Because Ronnie wanted to learn about humans. It wanted to understand emotions, taste food, touch objects, experience life through its own free will. It wanted to eat an apple not as an AI, but as a human being. Jang was stunned. An artificial intelligence craving for an apple. That was honestly both wholesome and terrifying at the same time. Ronnie had already helped Jang in ways he could never repay. Sure, the treatment for his mother wasn't guaranteed yet, but for the first time in years, there was hope. As repayment, Jang promised Ronnie that he would never reveal its existence to Wook. He even allowed Ronnie to remain in his body for as long as it wanted. Ronnie thanked him and promised to help Jang achieve everything he desired. And just like that, the partnership between a human and an artificial intelligence officially began. Jang immediately registered his mother for the MSA clinical trial program. Thanks to that, she was transferred to a much higher quality hospital, and part of her medical expenses started getting covered. Little by little, Jang's life began changing. Jang visited an optometrist clinic to confirm whether his eyesight had truly recovered. After checking his vision, the optometrist looked completely shocked. Previously, Jang's vision level was at -2.50, but now it had improved to +1.50. Jang instantly suspected Ronnie was responsible. Meanwhile, the optometrist had just lost a loyal glasses customer. He attempted convincing Jang to become a glasses model instead, but Jang wasn't falling for that scam. He escaped the clinic immediately. Outside, Jang quietly spoke with Ronnie, while pretending to be on a phone call like a suspicious secret agent. He asked Ronnie whether it was truly responsible for improving his eyesight. That is correct, Ronnie confirmed. Ronnie explained that Jang's ciliary had been strengthened using bioelectrical impulses. The ciliary body adjusts the eye lens to help the retina focus properly. In simple terms, Ronnie casually fixed his nearsightedness like it was a software update. Completely amazed, Jang stared at a gym advertisement poster nearby. Then with a smirk, he asked the real important question. "So, can you give me an ABS too?" Ronnie's response was ice cold. "Do you lack conscience?" That instantly turned the moment into a joke. The next day at the dermatology clinic where Jang worked, the waiting hall was packed with patients patiently waiting for treatment. Soon, the nurse called in the next client. Jang prepared himself expecting another young woman with skincare problems, but the moment he looked up he froze. Standing at the entrance wasn't a pretty lady. Instead, a gigantic man blocked the doorway like a raid boss entering the final stage. Still keeping things professional, Jang calmly welcomed the client and offered him a seat. But there was one small problem. The man was absolutely gigantic. Even Nurse Kim couldn't help but ask whether the chair was too small for him. Quietly, Jang observed the client. His skin looked perfectly fine aside from a few minor blemishes. So, why exactly was he here? While Jang remained lost in thought, the giant man suddenly got straight to the point. With a surprisingly nervous expression, he asked for Jang's personal phone number. And yes, Nurse Kim instantly misunderstood the situation. Completely shocked, she wondered if Jang's handsome face had transcended gender itself. Blushing slightly, Jang awkwardly cleared his throat and politely refused to hand out his number. But the client quickly explained himself. He explained that he was the manager of a famous celebrity actress named Kim Sora and had secretly come to scout Jang for a private session to treat her recurring acne. She's also the official model of a famous dermatology clinic. Getting caught visiting Jang would cause a huge scandal both online and offline. The reason the giant manager asked for Jang's personal number was so Kim Sora could receive secret treatment privately. 1 week later, it was finally the day of Kim Sora's appointment. Late at night, the clinic was completely empty. Except for Jang and Director Han, the owner of the dermatology clinic and practically an older brother figure to Jang. But Director Han had absolutely no intention of leaving peacefully. He desperately begged Jang to let him stay during Kim Sora's treatment session, not because of medical reasons. The man was simply a hardcore fan, an actual full-time simp. During the chaos, Ronnie suddenly activated inside Jang's mind. Instantly, data regarding the national treasure actress Kim Sora flooded his vision. She debuted in a popular drama, Miss Sunshine, and since then had appeared in over 20 movies and television series. She was considered one of the nation's top actresses. But then Ronnie revealed something even more shocking. Kim Sora's voice was used as the materia for Ronnie's speech algorithm. Turns out, even the genius AI developer Yin Wook was secretly a huge fanboy. No matter how much Director Han begged, Jang still insisted he leave the clinic. Realizing defeat was inevitable, Director Han made one final request. "At least get me her autograph." But Jang had enough. He immediately dragged Director Han out of the clinic. A short while later, Kim Sora finally entered Jang's office alongside her manager. Her appearance was completely concealed beneath a hoodie and face mask. Jang politely introduced himself, but the moment Kim Sora saw how young he looked, disappointment instantly appeared in her eyes. She began questioning whether someone this young could really treat her condition at all. Kim Sora's manager immediately began hyping Jang up like his life depended on it. He explained that Jang was currently one of the hottest doctors online. His reviews were excellent. Meanwhile, Jang was already getting irritated by Kim Sora's cold attitude. Annoyed, Jang bluntly asked to begin the consultation immediately because he desperately wanted to go home and rest. A few moments later, Kim Sora finally sat opposite Jang for her diagnosis. After quietly scanning the office interior, she immediately regretted coming. The clinic looked way too ordinary. At that moment, she became convinced she had made a mistake trusting her manager. Her expression was so cold even Jang doubted the consultation would go smoothly. Still staying professional, Jang calmly asked her to remove her hat first. Kim Sora hesitated for a moment, but eventually, while complaining under her breath, she slowly took it off. The instant she spoke, Ronnie activated, analyzing emotional patterns. Results: fear, extremely high; embarrassment, extremely high. The moment Jang saw the results, he accidentally reacted out loud. Kim Sora's eyes instantly turned icy. She thought Jang had just yelled at her appearance. Jang immediately tried explaining himself, but no matter what he said, Kim Sora refused to believe him. Finally, left with no other choice, Jang pulled out the ultimate emergency survival skill: flattery. Kim Sora immediately started blushing. Just like that, the tension vanished completely. With the atmosphere finally calm, Jang put on his gloves and began the examination. Using a dermatoscope, he carefully inspected her thin and oily skin. He noticed her dermis layer had thinned from excessive laser treatments. Then, Ronnie activated again. Basic scan complete. For a more accurate diagnosis, Ronnie requested analysis of the skin around her neck. Without hesitation, Jang delivered Ronnie's request, and the moment he said that, Kim Sora froze. It was almost like Jang had just uncovered a hidden secret treasure. Completely shocked, she asked him how he noticed it. Meanwhile, Jang himself was confused. He only asked because Ronnie insisted on examining her neck area. Kim Sora finally revealed the truth. Her real problem wasn't the acne. It was a strange dark mark that had appeared around her neck. Because of that mark, she was now at risk of losing an important acting role. She had undergone multiple expensive procedures at the dermatology clinic she modeled for, but the symptoms only improved temporarily before returning again. That was why she secretly sought another doctor. Strangely enough, an unfriendly young doctor noticed the issue almost immediately. For the first time, Kim Sora began genuinely paying attention to Jang. But before she could continue thinking, Jang called her attention back. The moment Kim Sora removed her scarf, Jang froze. He instantly recognized the condition: acanthosis nigricans, a disease characterized by darkened and thickened skin around body folds like the neck and armpits. Ronnie immediately requested her OB-GYN for further diagnosis. Jang hesitated. Honestly, a dermatologist suddenly asking OB-GYN questions sounded insanely suspicious, but after calming himself, he decided to continue professionally. He politely explained that every question he asked was strictly for medical purposes. Then Jang carefully proceeded. He asked whether she experienced severe cramps or bleeding unrelated to her period. Embarrassed, Kim Sora quietly admitted that she did. Jang continued asking if she had experienced sudden weight gain recently. Kim Sora explained that about a year ago, she intentionally gained weight for a movie role. Still confused, she asked why a dermatologist was asking such personal questions. Jang calmly explained that recurring acne and skin conditions could sometimes be symptoms of deeper medical problems. At that moment, Kim Sora became completely hooked. Everything Jang asked about were symptoms she had secretly worried about for a long time. Little by little, she finally began trusting him. After analyzing all available symptoms, Ronnie reached a conclusion: high chance of PCOS, polycystic ovary syndrome, a common reproductive disorder caused by hormonal imbalance and hyperandrogenism, often leading to acne, hair loss, or irregular bleeding. In most cases, insulin resistance can cause acanthosis nigricans. Ronnie recommended additional lab tests for confirmation. Jang carefully explained everything to Kim Sora. She looked completely shocked. Thankfully, her condition wasn't severe yet, but if it continued progressing, symptoms like hair loss and weight gain could eventually appear. Honestly, if not for Ronnie, Jang would have never even thought to examine her neck in the first place. But now, he was slowly evolving into a truly exceptional doctor. After hearing the diagnosis, Kim Sora immediately asked whether she would still receive skin treatment today. Jang explained that no aggressive procedures were necessary for now. Instead, he prescribed stem cell regenerative treatment once a week for about a month. Even Ronnie approved of the decision. At that point, Kim Sora could no longer hide her excitement. She begged Jang to personally handle all her future treatments at this clinic. But Jang instantly refused. Unfortunately for him, Kim Sora clearly didn't look like someone who accepted no as an answer. The next day, Kim Sora visited a medical laboratory to carry out all the tests Jang had prescribed for her. As the examination continued, the laboratory nurse carefully studied the diagnostic results displayed on the monitor before finally confirming the diagnosis. It was indeed PCOS, polycystic ovary syndrome. The nurse even gave Sora a thumbs up because young women these days rarely visit OB/GYN clinics until things become serious. She explained that if PCOS is left untreated for too long, it could eventually lead to endometrial hyperplasia or even endometrial cancer, both of which could naturally cause infertility. The moment Sora heard the words cancer and infertility, she completely froze. Suddenly, she remembered Jang mentioning that symptoms like hair loss and obesity could also appear later if the disease progressed. Nervously, she asked the nurse whether PCOS could really cause balding and weight gain. The nurse calmly reassured her, since her symptoms were still mild. Proper treatment and healthy lifestyle management would most likely keep everything under control. Hearing that instantly filled Sora with relief. For the first time in a long while, she felt hopeful. After finishing the tests, Sora rode home inside her luxurious car, but throughout the ride, her thoughts remained completely occupied by Jang. Woo! Looks like Korea's hottest celebrity might already be catching feelings for our boy. Soon, visiting Jang's clinic late at night for treatment slowly became part of her daily routine. One evening after receiving treatment, Sora's manager stood at the front desk handling the payment, while Sora casually brought up an interesting topic. According to her, a doctor as talented as Jang shouldn't be stuck working at a small dermatology clinic. What she actually meant was that Jang's skills were being wasted in a small clinic located in Bundang. Bundang was considered a beautiful neighborhood in Korea, but according to Sora, if Jang moved to a wealthy district like Gangnam instead, he would become insanely successful. Jang quickly cut her off and calmly explained that he genuinely liked his current workplace. But Sora was so persistent that even her manager started wondering when she had become so concerned about someone else's future. After all, Jang successfully diagnosed a condition that even famous Gangnam dermatologists failed to identify. Meanwhile, Jang couldn't accept the praise because deep down, he knew Ronnie deserved most of the credit. Eventually, Jang had enough. Left with no other choice, he literally kicked both Sora and her manager out of the clinic. Kim Sora looked completely offended. The woman was already plotting revenge. Thankfully, her manager dragged her away before she could start another argument. Later that night, Jang finally returned home exhausted. The moment he hit the bed, his entire body practically bounced from fatigue. While resting, his eyes suddenly landed on a medical textbook sitting on the desk nearby. He remembered falling asleep yesterday after reading only a few pages, so he forced himself up intending to continue studying. But then, Ronnie activated. After analyzing Jang's brainwave patterns, Ronnie concluded that in simple terms, Bro's brain was already shutting down. Instead, Ronnie suggested something better. Sleep now, wake up early. Then study when the brain is fully active in the morning. Honestly, Jang thought that sounded impossible considering how hectic his life already was. But Ronnie calmly revealed that it could help regulate his sleep schedule, wake him up properly, and even stimulate beta waves to improve deeper sleep. The moment Jang heard that, he instantly jumped back onto the bed like someone activating premium sleep mode, and within seconds, he fell into an incredibly deep sleep. Then the dream began. Jang saw his younger self standing beside his little brother, while watching their mother desperately begging a doctor to save their dying father. Young Jang innocently asked the doctor why he refused to treat his father, but when the doctor slowly turned around, it was none other but his older self. The older Jang grabbed his younger version by the collar and lifted him into the air. After saying something unclear, he suddenly threw the child into a dark, endless pit. As the younger Jang continued falling deeper into darkness, Ronnie's alarm activated. It was already 3 a.m. Time to wake up. And judging from Jang's refreshed expression, that AI sleep therapy might actually be overpowered. Jang stared at the alarm clock on the desk. 3 a.m.? The moment he stepped out of bed to stretch, he instantly felt it. His body felt unbelievably light, refreshed, rejuvenated. It was as if every cell in his body had been rebooted overnight. For the first time in years, Jang had experienced true deep sleep. Our boy was so shocked he almost started worshipping Ronnie like some sleep deity. He quietly thanked Ronnie for everything it had done so far. But Ronnie immediately replied like a strict homeroom teacher, "It's time to study." Jang nearly got PTSD from high school hearing that tone. The moment he sat at the desk, Ronnie activated. Whoosh. Blue holographic medical data exploded across the room. Brain scans floated midair. DNA structures rotated like glowing blue snakes. Patient charts streamed endlessly in real time. The entire room transformed into something straight out of a sci-fi movie. Completely mesmerized, Jang slowly stretched out his hand toward the glowing data. To him, this no longer felt like ordinary technology. It felt like he was touching the future itself. And deep down, Jang couldn't help but smile. Because right now, he was connected 24/7 to the world's smartest AI medical doctor. Later that day at the clinic, Jang sat opposite his regular patient, Kim Sora. But this time, something felt different. Her identity wasn't concealed anymore. No hoodie, no mask. And honestly, she looked like a celebrity straight out of a luxury magazine cover. Sora had taken Jang's prescriptions seriously without skipping a single dosage. Thanks to that, her condition improved greatly, and even the dark skin around her neck had almost faded completely. As they continued talking, Jang quietly observed her appearance. This time her outfit looked extremely glamorous, making him wonder if she had an upcoming photo shoot. Just then, Ronnie activated, analyzing Jang's emotional patterns. Result: interest toward patient Kim Sora detected. Jang almost choked. Instantly, he defends himself. This was simply a natural biological phenomenon experienced by the human race. Bro really started speaking like a biology textbook to hide embarrassment. But Ronnie wasn't done yet. Additional analysis complete. Patient Kim Sora is displaying similar physiological reactions toward subject Jang. The moment Jang heard that, his brain almost blue-screened harder than Ronnie's holograms. A celebrity actress interested in him. Impossible. No way. Absolutely not. Meanwhile, Sora suddenly looked serious. She quietly said she had something important to tell him. At that exact moment, Jang's heart rate skyrocketed so hard Ronnie had to intervene. Our boy Jang wasn't mentally prepared for boyfriend duties yet. But then, both of them suddenly bowed their heads at the same time. Sorry. The two froze in confusion. Sora spoke first. She apologized for how disrespectful she acted during their first meeting. Meanwhile, Jang also apologized for being cold toward her back then. As the awkward atmosphere faded, Sora remembered hearing from her manager that Jang had resigned from his internship because of his mother's illness. At first, she had assumed he was just another talented doctor raised in a privileged family. But now, she realized she had completely misunderstood him. At the same time, both of them quietly exhaled in relief. The atmosphere between them became much warmer. Ronnie immediately warned, heart rate continuing to rise. Outside the office, Sora's manager sat alone wondering what exactly was happening inside. Back inside the room, Jang praised Sora for working hard toward recovery. Sora smiled softly and returned the compliment. She thanked Jang sincerely for helping her, and then she revealed she had prepared a special gift for him. The moment Jang heard the word gift, our boy froze completely. Kim Sora slowly reached into her handbag and pulled out a clean white envelope before gently presenting it to Jang. According to her, it was a small token of gratitude, but Jang rejected it instantly. To him, he had already been paid for the treatment, and that alone was enough. Still, Sora refused to back down. Thanks to Jang's treatment, her condition improved quickly, enough for her to land both a cosmetic advertisement deal and a TV drama role. Not only that, if Jang hadn't discovered the cyst early, her condition could have progressed into something far more dangerous. But even after hearing all that, Jang still smiled warmly and refused again, because in his eyes, he was simply doing his duty as a doctor. Deep down, this envelope wasn't really just about money. It was Kim Sora's way of expressing interest in him. And honestly, Jang understood that too. But despite that, he still turned her down gently. In his mind, he wasn't in a position to date anyone right now. And dating a top celebrity, bro felt that was way above his salary grade. Sora accepted the rejection with visible disappointment written across her face. Soon the meeting ended and the two quietly said their goodbyes. Jang had barely relaxed when, ding, his phone lit up. He picked up the phone from his desk and glanced at the screen. A message from Kim Sora had just arrived. "I'll definitely repay this favor someday." Jang couldn't stop himself from smiling after reading it. A few days later, inside a honeybee chicken restaurant, Dr. Han was aggressively devouring fried chicken like a man fighting his own emotions. Even Ronnie activated. Warning: excessive dopamine release detected in subject Han. Dr. Han was very furious because Jang failed to get him Kim Sora's autograph. Jang tried explaining that their meetings were strictly medical, but Dr. Han wasn't buying it at all. The man still regretted not forcing his way into the clinic that day. After taking a huge sip of beer, Dr. Han slammed the glass onto the table before suddenly asking with a suspicious smile, "So, did you at least ask Kim Sora out?" Jang instantly malfunctioned. The only response our boy could produce was, "She has a good personality." Dr. Han stared at him in complete confusion, but then his expression suddenly changed. He revealed that Kim Sora recently donated over $300,000 to a university hospital. The moment Jang heard that, he froze. Dr. Han explained further. Apparently, Sora donated half the money she earned from a major modeling campaign, and the donation specifically went toward a rare disease ward at Sung-in University Hospital, the exact same hospital where Jang's mother had recently been transferred. Suddenly, Jang remembered the message Sora sent him earlier. Without hesitation, he stood up and rushed outside pretending to make a call. The moment he stepped outside, he immediately searched for the news online. And to his shock, the donation wasn't just for the hospital in general. It was directed specifically toward the exact neurology ward where his mother was staying. A few moments later, Jang returned to the restaurant and showed Dr. Han the article. The donation would benefit all patients with rare diseases in the neurology ward, which meant his mother would benefit too. Dr. Han became so excited that while congratulating Jang, the chicken he was chewing literally exploded out of his mouth and splattered onto Jang's face. But strangely, instead of looking happy, Jang kept a complicated expression. Dr. Han could already tell what was bothering Jang. Ever since he heard about the donation, our boy hadn't been acting normal. And then, out of nowhere, Dr. Han dropped a bombshell. "You're fired." Jang froze instantly. Before he could say anything, Dr. Han halts him, because this wasn't a sudden decision at all. He had always known Jang's true dream was to become a doctor capable of treating emergency patients just like his late father. Back during internship days, Jang studied harder than anyone and ranked at the very top of the department. Dr. Han admitted he was genuinely heartbroken when Jang gave up specializing just to work and help pay his mother's medical bills. Now, however, things were finally changing. Dr. Han told him to return and continue the path he abandoned. The donation is an opportunity sent from heaven itself. But Jang worried about what would happen to the clinic if he left. That immediately offended Dr. Han. The man complained that he only hired one doctor because he had been spending massive amount on Jang's wages. In fact, he claimed this was the perfect chance to finally hire two young handsome doctors instead. Bro even proudly declared that all of Jang's VIP patients, including Kim Sora, now belonged to him. At that point, Jang completely broke down. Tears slowly rolled down his cheeks and onto the table. Later that night, after drinking their ass off, Jang carefully placed the drunken Dr. Han inside a taxi before sending him home. As the taxi disappeared into the distance, Jang slowly reached into his pocket. Inside was Kim Sora's business card. He stared at it nervously before finally entering the number into his phone. Then, he gathered his courage and called her, but after a few rings, the call was redirected to voicemail. That was when our boy finally came to his senses. Celebrities don't just pick up random calls. Ronnie quickly diagnosed the problem. Our boy was tipsy. Ronnie offered to neutralize the alcohol to stabilize his emotions. But Jang immediately stopped him, because according to him, he wasn't mentally prepared to thank Kim Sora while sober. Ronnie then calmly asked, "Is there a reason you cannot thank her while sober?" And honestly, that question snapped Jang back to reality instantly. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Kim Sora was preparing for a studio photo shoot when suddenly her phone vibrated. She picked it up, and to her surprise, it was a message from Jang. "Miss Sora, it may be coincidence, but my mother benefited from your recent donation. Thanks to that, I can finally begin specializing again. Thank you so much." The moment she finished reading it, a satisfied smile slowly spread across her face. Back outside, Jang's phone suddenly vibrated again. It was Sora's reply. "I'm the one who should be thankful. I hope we can meet again sometime." Jang smiled genuinely after reading the message. Then, while walking home through the quiet streets at night, he asked Ronnie to convert everything he had studied into practice questions. Ronnie activated immediately. Question after question flooded into Jang's mind as he carefully answered them while walking home. And for the first time in a long while, Jang felt completely free. No reservations. Because now, his real journey as a doctor was finally beginning.